stop moving for a second. Look around you, at the walls of your room, the light from your screen, the sensation of the air on your skin. It all feels real, solid, and definitely there, doesn't it? But what if I told you that everything you see right now isn't the world, but a delayed translation of what happened moments ago? The terrifying scientific reality is that we never live in the present. We live in a tiny time prison, a gap scientists call processing lag.
Physicist Brian Greene states, "Our perception of time is merely a biological way to organize information, not a reflection of absolute reality." Think about this. When you touch a cold surface, it takes time for the nerve to send the signal and time for the brain to process it. You are always one step behind reality. Your brain, locked inside a completely dark skull, has never seen light or heard a sound. It only receives electrical impulses and tries to guess what's happening outside. If the external world is silent, dark, and made of colorless atoms, where did all these colors and melodies inhabiting your head come from? We don't see with our ears or hear with our eyes, but there are medical conditions that allow a person to smell colors or taste music. This proves that reality is just a cinematic show inside your mind. But if everything is just a show, who is the spectator? And who gives things meaning? Think about this deeply. If your senses deceive you, what is the only real thing left? Are you just a chemical machine lost in this void? Or is there an observer living somewhere behind this veil? To understand the truth, we must stop looking outward and begin a journey inward into that dark prison where your consciousness resides. Imagine now a place of total darkness where not a single ray of light enters and absolute silence that no sound can break. This place isn't a grave, nor is it at the bottom of the ocean. This place is your home. It's the void inside your skull right now. Your brain, this 3-pound organ, processes everything, yet it has never, ever seen the world. Consider this staggering paradox. The eye captures light, but doesn't see it. It only converts it into silent electrical pulses. The ear captures vibration, but doesn't hear the music. All that reaches your brain are dry codes. The question that haunts philosophers and scientists alike: how do those dead electrical codes suddenly transform into the beauty of colors in your eyes, or the sadness of a melody in your heart? Where does that miracle happen, the one that turns matter into life? British Nobel laureate Sir Roger Penrose suggests that consciousness isn't just computation performed by the brain. He believes something deeper is happening at the quantum level. This leads us to an even bigger dilemma. If science can map every single cell in your brain, why is it still unable to find you? Why can't we find your feelings under a microscope? In 1982, philosopher Frank Jackson proposed a thought experiment that completely changed our view of consciousness. Imagine a scientist named Mary. Mary has lived since birth in a room of only black and white. But Mary is no ordinary person. She is the greatest neuroscientist in history. She has studied everything about the color red. Mary knows the wavelengths of red light, how photons interact with the retina, and exactly which neurons fire in the brain when we see it. She possesses all possible physical data. But what happens when Mary leaves her room for the first time and sees a real red rose? Will she learn something new? The answer is a definitive yes. Mary will learn what it feels like to see red, She will learn that subjective experience that cannot be described by equations. This tiny difference is what philosophers call qualia. Qualia is the scent of coffee, the chill of ice, the sting of loss. Science tells us how the world works, but it remains silent when we ask, what does it feel like? Think about this contradiction. If consciousness were just data, why did all the data in the world fail to give Mary the experience of red while inside her room? Why do we need a soul to live the experience, rather than just a brain to process the information? Can a machine, no matter how precise, ever feel the bliss of victory or the bitterness of defeat? Or are feelings a language only understood by a being who possesses something deeper than biology? This leads us to a chilling question. If feeling doesn't reside in matter, does that mean we aren't just advanced machines? And if we possess something beyond scientific explanation, what prevents us from building an artificial consciousness? To find the answer, we must enter the Chinese room, where the greatest lie of artificial intelligence is hidden. In the midst of the tech revolution, Silicon Valley tells us we are close to building an artificial mind, just like ours. But can a machine truly understand? In 1980, philosopher John Searle proposed the Chinese room experiment. Imagine yourself inside a locked room, with books containing complex rules to link Chinese symbols together, yet you don't know a single word of the language. People outside slide papers written in Chinese under the door. You follow the rules in your books, pick the right symbols, and slide them back. To those outside, you speak Chinese fluently. But the truth is, you are processing symbols without ever grasping their meaning. You perform the process, but you lack the experience. This is exactly what AI does. It has the rules, but it lacks intent. A machine today can write you a love letter, but it doesn't know the agony of separation. It can describe the taste of fear, but its pulse never quickens. As humans, we don't just link symbols, we live the meaning. When I say the word mother, your mind doesn't just display a linguistic definition.
Hello, Mama. Hello. Tipi tipi tapa tapa dooby dooby dabba dabba patty patty boo 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 boo.
Your soul overflows with images, scents, and emotions that cannot be turned into algorithms. Have you ever asked yourself, why do we possess this overflow while the machine is content with zeros and ones? If we were merely biological machines, as materialists claim, why has matter alone failed to create understanding? Why do we always need a consciousness to perceive the essence behind the appearance? This leads us to a deeper mystery. If your body changes, your atoms are replaced, and your memories fade, who is that constant being observing all this change? Who is the one who remains when everything material is gone? To find the answer, we must face an ancient historical paradox, the paradox of the Ship of Theseus, where we will discover that the real you is not the body you see in the mirror. Let's stop talking about machines for a moment and talk about you. There is an ancient Greek puzzle known as the Ship of Theseus. Imagine an old wooden ship. Over the years, the wood begins to rot, so we replace every single plank with a new one after another, until every part of the ship is brand new. The question is this still the same ship? And if it isn't, where did the original ship go? This isn't just ancient philosophy, it's your biological reality. Science tells us that your body's cells are in a state of constant regeneration. Your skin cells replace themselves every few weeks, and your red blood cells die and are reborn every 4 months. Even the atoms in your bones are completely replaced roughly every 10 years. This means that the body you had as a child, not a single atom of it remains in your body right now. You are a ship whose every plank has been replaced.
But if your physical body is entirely gone, why do you still feel like the same person? Who is that constant observer who remembers your childhood, even though the brain that lived that childhood has had its atoms replaced thousands of times? If you were the matter, your identity should vanish with it. But you feel a continuous, living I that transcends the boundaries of flesh and bone. Doesn't this suggest that you are not the ship, but the captain inhabiting it? Materialists escape this truth by claiming it's memory. But memory is also just electrical impulses in changing cells. Consider this terrifying inquiry. If we copied all your memories and placed them in another body, would you transfer there? Or would you remain here, watching your double live your life? There is something unique, non-copyable, and irreplaceable. Something that is the real you.
But if you are the captain and not the ship, do you truly have the freedom to steer it? Or are the laws of physics and matter moving you on a predetermined path? In the next station, we will face the most terrifying question in the history of science. Do you have free will? Or are you just a puppet in the hands of the laws of the universe? Now, we reach the question everyone fears. If you are an observer inhabiting a physical body, are you truly the one making decisions? Materialistic science tries to convince us that we are biological robots. In 1983, scientist Benjamin Libet conducted an experiment showing that the brain sends a movement signal fractions of a second before we consciously decide. Does this mean we are just puppets moved by the strings of chemical laws? But if we were mere pre-programmed machines, why do we feel remorse? A machine doesn't apologize for its errors, and an earthquake doesn't feel guilty for its destruction. Why does your conscience haunt you when you hurt someone? And why do you seek justice in a universe that science claims is just a random collision of atoms? This sense of moral responsibility is the ultimate crack in the wall of materialism. It is the call telling you that you are not just a chemical reaction, but a being carrying a will that transcends the limits of physics.
Here, the journey of laboratories ends, and the journey of the soul begins. All those mysteries we passed through, the brain's inability to see truth, the mystery of feeling beauty, the persistence of your identity despite changing atoms, they all point to one truth the West has long ignored. You are not a cosmic accident. You carry within you what ancient wisdom calls Al-Fitra. Al-Fitra is the primordial programming placed within you before the world's noise clouded your mind. It is the compass that makes you seek the Creator in the finest details of the universe. And because you are a unique being, you were entrusted with what even the mountains feared to carry. You were entrusted with Al-Amanah, the trust. Consciousness is not a biological burden. It is a heavy deposit through which you recognize the source that brought you out of nothingness. Perhaps it's time to stop looking for you in probes and microscopes and start listening to this hidden call in your heart. You are not a ghost in a machine. You are God's trust in this existence. Look for the final message that speaks to your soul, not your body. And there, you will find the peace that escaped you in the chaos of matter.
Sleep well.